We're now live, and we're, 5 minutes late? That's not too bad. We got to do better, though, and try to be live right at 8 o'clock. I wonder if we should start these things maybe 5 minutes early to work out problems, and then, go live right at 8.
Yeah, I actually started 10 minutes early, but it took me a while to get things worked out.
All right,
Yeah.
well.
Sorry about that, yeah.
Since Ernst is the new one, and since we don't have my uncle, I figure we focus on him answering his questions, and then of course we can get into the agenda and talk about the other things.
Okay, is Ed not making it this week, or?
Right, he emailed us saying he's not coming.
Okay, I guess my first question is, what's the difference when we go live and before we go live?
Well, we're live now, so everyone can see us. Everyone in the universe who has access to
who wants to, right?
What is it?
Okay.
You're posting this on YouTube, are you, Rami?
This is on the KAOS Institution YouTube, yes.
Yeah, and then he'll post it again later on our subreddit.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then nobody's we're so new, no one's coming to these yet.
No.
But if somebody was coming to these, they could be chatting and talking to us in the chat.
Yeah. So why don't we introduce ourselves a little bit? I'm Brian Charlebois. I'm the one that started this whole thing. I've been on this for 40 years now, mostly in the last 10 years, though. I'm a welder, fabricator, inventor. Yes, I have a few inventions and things I like to work on. I'm always got projects on the side. And I'm married, 3 kids. They're pretty much all out of the house at this point. And anyway, that's enough about me.
So I guess I'm number 2. Brian Charlebois. I'm saying that right now. He, I guess, found me on a subreddit. What was his name? Destiny.
Yeah, that's right.
The name he goes by. I forget his real name. And I talked about a lot of things in there, but it's all around kind of central topic of something that interested Brian. Why don't you fill that gap? Why did you Why did you think me?
Because I could tell that you were more open to this type of an idea. That's basically how I've contacted all of you guys, one way or another, either because of the sub you're in. Ernst, I found you in the democracy sub, so obviously you're already interested in democracy and thinking about these things. Rami, he was talking about something at the time that seemed very open to the ideas of higher levels of democracy or something, and that's why I tried to contact him.
I don't remember what it was, and I think I posted a lot of things there. And by the way, I got banned because I was posting so much. For a whole year, and now I give up on that fucking subreddit.
Yeah, do you remember what the subreddit was actually?
Destiny.
Okay.
I think that's what he called his subreddit. It's just his name. His pseudonym.
He was an influencer on YouTube, and
and he's getting more famous now. He's all over the place now. But what I was talking about was, if I was to guess of what I was talking about, scientific thinking. If I put just 2 words on it. And the reason that I'm now helping with this is, I guess what happened was I agreed to join the project, sort of, in the sense of helping with marketing, but then it grew into helping with other things too. And then a little bit more than that, I started a nonprofit right around that same time to rid the world of apostasy laws, the death penalty for changing your mind about God. And what we're working on is the obstacles to achieving our goal and how to overcome them. And KAOS deals with one of the obstacles. A big problem we have is censorship. I mean, even the death penalty for leaving your religion is a way to censor. The reason they threaten to kill us is so that we would shut up and don't talk about it.
Self-censorship.
Yeah, well, it's external though. It's not just self-censorship. And I guess Brian mentioned some personal stuff. I guess I'll say that too. I'm probably around the same age. I have.
You cut out there for a second, Rami.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I'll say some personal stuff since Brian did also. I'm a father, 2 daughters, teenagers. One's in college. The next one's gonna be in college in a year. So I'm a little bit behind Brian in that sense. And what else? What else is important to say? I guess my background. Okay, so I got a degree in physics, bachelor's degree. But since college, I've been a small business owner. And I guess that's about it.
On the physics topic, wait, how do you register for the Feynman again? The Feynman talk that you're hosting or the discussion? I forget. I mean, he's dead, so he's not going to talk, but I mean, like your forum for it. I mean, how do you just go to your Reddit or something and click a link you have there on one of your earlier posts or something?
I'm trying to understand what you're asking.
I'm saying like you have, sorry, I should probably explain myself more. I noticed in several of your posts you referenced a June event that's like the Feynman conference or forum or something. And I was just trying to understand how you would register for that so that you could.
Sure. Well, you don't have to register, but what you're describing is on June 14th, which is the birth of my organization, Uniting the Cults. We marked the birth of it by doing a 6.5-hour long live stream. It was 3 expert interviews. The scientific age, apostasy laws, and the third one was cult behaviors in organizations. And anyway, so that was last year. This one coming up, it's similar topics, but we're going to have some famous people on there now. We didn't have that the first time around. We have, I mean, you guys probably don't know these people, but it's famous in the ex-Muslim and Muslim circles. Wissam Sharafuddin, that's his name. He is the co-founder of Muslimish. He's going to be on there. We're going to be talking about his organization. One of their goals is also to repeal apostasy laws worldwide. That's why we're talking. I'm also going to have, I just got confirmation, an ex-Muslim YouTuber, Apostate Aladdin. He doesn't put out his real name. He just goes by that name. You know, you can imagine why, right? The apostasy laws.
Yeah.
So, he's going to be on there too, and there might be others. I don't want to have too many. I don't really know how to do this with too many people. You know.
Yeah.
I've seen some of these live streams where they have like 6 people. That's way too busy.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can just show up to chat. There's nothing to register.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you want?
All right. I'll finish. I'm Brian Lanning. I'm a chemist. Mostly organic chemist and medicinal chemist, but I've worked in different areas of regulatory science, basic science, applied science, mostly in chemistry and biology. And then I think Brian got a hold of me when I forget how it worked out. It was like futurology, Reddit, and I forget what we were discussing right now for some reason. But anyway, yeah, I kind of got interested in it from his not only that post but also his Substack subscription, or his Substack posts are very interesting, and we kind of traded words over Reddit a little bit, and then eventually I got invited on. So far I've been really happy with the ideas floating around. So that's about it for me.
Okay. Thank you. Ernst, do you want to talk a little?
Yeah, I can. I'm Ernst. I've done various things in my life, service industry, social work, manufacturing, construction. I've had my own workshop for 3 decades. I've lived in my own workshops where I've built recumbent tricycles, loudspeakers, amplifiers, and stuff like that. But that's, I'm also mostly self-educated. I have some time in university, but I never really finished it. I just took a few courses. But I am interested in anything that has to do with the human experience. So that's from politics to spirituality to sociology to psychology and health, fitness, all that kind of stuff.
Politics?
Politics, not really. Philosophy of polity, yes. So
Okay.
my book is about how we go about organizing ourselves, how we go about working together, how that's been in the past, how I expect it will be in the future. And I try to really avoid politics, exactly what's happening now. That's just not my gig. It's really very complicated. I'm interested in a long-term big picture. And I see us moving from a hierarchically controlled society to a cooperatively controlled one. I don't see it happening quickly, but there are lots of signs it's going on already. Sweden is one. Iceland has been a democracy for 1,000 years. But we're up against a lot of problems. And the biggest one is hierarchy will have to fade. And that means empires and all the power holders on this planet must be panicking because for sure they see it as well. And that's the reason why our world is getting so difficult now.
But it's not really new, is it? It's not a new phenomenon.
It's not new, but there's an intensification now for two reasons because of technology. One, that technology will allow us to cooperate in a way that we can govern cooperatively. And two, that technology gives empires tools with which to oppress us.
Yeah. I read the first 20 or 30 pages of your book.
Yeah.
And, there seems to be a lot of overlap over what we're doing and what you have talked about.
Yeah, I think so.
What is your book called, Ernst?
It's called Tomorrow. It's called Tomorrow Approaching Utopia. But it's basically a case for direct democracy and a history of democracy and hierarchy.
And you just self-published that, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to start trying to find people to publish that one.
Yeah.
It's
so yeah.
It talks.
Yeah, go ahead.
It talks a lot about hierarchy and why hierarchy cannot coexist with direct democracy, and how it can't coexist with democracy at all. It just can't, and it mostly just uses democracy to play its own games, but it doesn't really expect to give democracy true democratic powers. There's never really going to be a complete democracy. There's only partial democracies.
You mean that's what they want? That's what they're trying to keep.
That's what exists.
Yeah,
that's what exists now.
Yeah.
Any democracy now is hierarchically organized, and there are players that control the rules of that democracy, and they have a lot more power than they advertise. But the democracy is always limited by hierarchy. There can be no other way. And in fact, all the problems that most of the problems we face are about hierarchy causing conflict and disparity. Those are the two big problems on this earth, and they're all necessary elements of any hierarchical organization at all.
Yeah.
So I understand.
I generally agreed with what I was reading on your book there. Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
And what's your last name again, Ernst? If you don't mind me asking.
Ritzman.
Ritzman. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay. So, do you have any other questions about what we're doing here, Ernst?
No, it seems like you guys are trying to, as far as I understand, you're trying to build a space where people can communicate and find a way to work through situations that will then be a matter of public record, and hopefully, if it gets large enough, powers will take notice of it and give it some respect.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to point out our main focus here is that there's no manipulation of the data. that it is as opaque, or I mean, as clear as can be, as easily we can maintain trust because there's nothing to hide. Eh? We're trying not to manipulate the data in any way, or
well, here's a little bit more technical way to say it, and I'm not a technical person really, and this is not really technical, but it's just a slight more. So imagine, all of the current social media systems have an algorithm. I know they have many, but just imagine an algorithm that decides things like hiding things, shadowing things, promoting other things, censoring some stuff. And it really should be, and what we're imagining is a system like that, except we don't have such an algorithm. It's just the data, and users have their own, let's say, AI bots that use their own algorithms to sift through the data, filter it how they want, how the AIs want. And so the point is, that's how it's removing, part of the hierarchy. It shouldn't be the CEO of a social media or of this database of our opinions that decides how our opinions get displayed and which ones get hidden and stuff. It should be users that decide that on their own with their own AI bots. I see it like, decide. By the way, where did Brian go?
I don't know.
He's kind of having technical troubles.
Yeah. It's all right. He's already heard this a million times anyway. So and the point is, we're not saying there won't be bias, but we're saying that the bias won't come from our system. It will come from the natural bias within the opinions themselves, and then the bias of when users choose an AI bot to sift through the data. There, of course, could be bias within that AI bot, but we're making it more democratic in a way where you don't have to use just one. You can use 10 of them and compare the results of all of them. He just connected again, but it says his device doesn't have a mic or something. You know what? I need to be able to contact him a different way. But did we ever set that up?
Oh yeah.
I should have his phone number so I could just tell him something. Damn.
I do think I have his phone number. He sent me an email one time.
I know he gave me a way to contact him, but I don't remember what it is or where to find that info. I should have it in my contacts in my I'm gonna get him back on. Let's see. How do I get to my contact?
What you're saying makes a lot of sense, Rami. The user is the one who decides what they see and don't see.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you're sideways.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I might have done that. I'm not sure if I screwed something up there.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, Brian, real quick. I know you've already did this once at some point, but can you tell me your phone number? So, if something like this happens again, I can send you a quick message.
You talking about me?
Yeah, you. And email it to me. Maybe don't say it right here live.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I give my number, but I'm pretty sure you already have it.
Yeah, but I don't have it right here in this contact, so just give it to me again.
Okay, 780-224-2623. All
right. So worst case scenario, I can text you. What the system said was your mic wasn't hooked up. And then you tried something else and now it was hooked up. I mean, I don't know how you solved it.
Yeah, I don't know, but let's carry on.
All right. So I guess I was done with my little bit. Do you have any specific questions about technical issues?
Do I?
Yeah. Or because we're mainly here we're just trying to educate you on things because you're the
technical issues like programming or stuff like that. I just not mine. No, that's not me.
Well, here, I'll tell you something that people keep bringing up. In the last week, there's two people I brought up KAOS to, and one of them had two questions that I keep getting asked repeatedly, which means it's a very important thing for everyone. Okay. The first question is actually, let me pull up this document. Here it is. The first question is, where is it? Let's see. So he's saying, if we're going to be having, no censorship, how are you dealing with safety? And, I think I knew what he meant right away, which is, things like doxing.
Yeah.
Which is what? Giving out somebody's address so people can go find him and kill him. So yeah,
No, that would be a function of algorithm that I don't know if I forget what terminology we're using, like scrapes the KAOS database. That wouldn't be our problem, would it? I mean, it'd be like whatever algorithm is looking.
What Tom told us was that there's services out there that will just do that job alone, look for things like doxing and flag it. And then our idea is a human will look at that. Well, it'll flag it, not show it. Then a human will look at it, make a decision, and then either keep it hidden or show it again.
So that question is pretty much answered, isn't it? Or is there
yeah. But I'm just telling the new person who's probably should hear this already.
I think it's like a section of the system that will have to do with people's logins to validate them, to make sure that one person is only one person on the system like that. Will also offer the user security from that. And the only other thing I'd say is that you should, like, doxing means you have the person's information and then you find more information, and then you publicize it when in ways they don't want it to, in nefarious ways and stuff. And that then enters a question of, are people anonymous on the system, or are they not?
So the current conception is there's three ways to be on the system. There's registered and public. Then there's registered but anonymous. So you're not anonymous to us, the system, but you're anonymous to the users. Then the third way is double anonymous, where you're anonymous to the world, to the users, but also you're not registered with us.
Yeah.
And the point of needing that is there are places, like certain countries, that wouldn't even allow something like this, or let's say they're afraid of the death penalty for apostasy, and they don't want their information anywhere. But they, let's say, still want to put out their opinion about things. So we feel like there needs to be a way to be fully anonymous. Which makes it harder for safety and security.
Well, I think you need to have a whole separate system that loads people onto the system and handles all that, and then the system is just whatever they want to present themselves as on the system at that time. Like if there's a discussion, do you understand that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth because you probably have a better answer than me, Brian. But my first thought was that we kind of rely on the individuals being identifiable for the veracity of the opinions that we're using in the database, right? So you'd like to, if you can, include the personal identification information, their occupation, their stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes, you'd need it at some place. You'd need it somewhere just to make sure that the system doesn't get unbalanced with bots and stuff.
Yeah, well, my thoughts on this is that our bots that we are going to use, either we're going to use a search engine or we're going to use a bot of some type to access our data. And I think you know this, but we have a choice of any of the ones on the market that Elon Musk is making a bot now, and many other people are making bots. So we'll have lots of different options of bots to choose from, and the biases will be in those bots, right? So anyway, just those bots also are good as they search that data for us. If depending on what we're looking for, like I use this example on this example where I wrote about this is. If you're looking for a restaurant, you don't want to look at any anonymous posts. You want to look at the ones that are people have identified themselves, because they're probably likely to be more honest about their opinions of the restaurant. So myself, I will have my bot take out all the anonymous when I'm looking for a restaurant. There's no reason I'd want to look at any of those reviews. Now,
Right.
and because for many reasons, we all know there's lots of problems with anonymous posting. So anyway, I'm not even going to look at the anonymous stuff. But if there's something going on with China, I'm going to ask the bot to show me all the anonymous stuff. Even though I know that it's tainted information, it is still more information than I would have had without it. So, I know that people could have
Because that's the scenario. That's the scenario where we're expecting people to not want to put their name at all because they don't want to get in trouble with the government.
Yeah, and so we'll have to weigh those types of opinions with the knowledge that they could be lying. Each
user would be doing that. Yes.
Yes, each user will be doing that on their own. There is no overseeing body that is doing that for you. This is the real key to this: is that you are doing. You have to figure out how to use our system to get the most out of it, and it's fairly obvious. Like I said, that opinions that are anonymous, especially double anonymous, are going to be not. There could be fake ones. There could be lots of problems with them. But the bots that we are using could be screwing with that information too. That's why we want to have more than one bot. If we're worried that a bot, if I'm worried that Elon Musk is having his bot, edit stuff before I see it, then I'll try another bot and see whether or not I get different data from that one, and I can compare them, and I get an idea of how these bots think. I like to say it's just like people. Some of my friends, they have certain biases when I talk to them about certain things, and I know their biases, and I've got to know them over time, and I understand how they think, and I take their opinions with a grain of salt because of what I know about that person. The same thing will happen with bots. Bots, after you've worked with them for a while, you'll get an understanding of where they tend to have biases and how they tend to think. And some bots are going to be different than others. And just like you would not, you would probably seek advice from more than one friend so you can get a nice rounded view. You're going to do the same thing with your bots. So, yeah.
When I mentioned bots, I was speaking of one person using technology to have a lot of personalities on the system, so that they weigh more than one voice. And that's a problem with anonymous stuff.
Yeah, and once again, though, I mean, if you're looking at registered opinions, you're going to know if it's a bot. Well, it's not going to. We're not going to take opinions from bots. We'll take an opinion from a bot that is representing a person. Like I eventually see where I will get to understand one of my bots, or maybe a few of them, so well that I'll let them vote for me on subject matter that I think that they have a good understanding of what I want, right? So, there might be a bot out there that's more specialized towards medicine. And so I might allow him to, I will work with him. He'll get to know me, and then it'll understand how I'd want to vote on things. And eventually at first, it will notify me on things going on that I might want to vote on. But eventually I might give it the power to actually go ahead and vote and just inform me later about what the things that it is.
Or at least give you suggestions, and then you confirm.
But as far as all these bots that roam around on the internet, making posts about things or whatever, that can't happen on our system, only in the anonymous area. Double anonymous would be the only place they would get away with that. And once again, we have to realize that there could be bots out there doing that. And, when we're working with, there'll only be certain instances
you could think of it as like, you could think of it as like two chaos systems, even though they're really one, where one of them is all the registered data.
Yeah.
And the other one is totally anonymous. And they're very different in the sense that the way you see the trust level of each category.
Yeah. But those anonymous opinions, even though there could be, you know, people putting out hundreds of the same opinion trying to skew the numbers, there are ideas in those opinions. So if you get information, you know, in China and they say something very specific, you know, it's depending on the circumstances, you might be able to trust that information. You know, if they say if somebody anonymous says the tanks are rolling down Fifth Avenue, right? Well, then you might be able to go quickly confirm that by checking some other sources. And at least that anonymous person informed you that you should be looking at this, right?
And your AI could go check the local news and see if it's right.
That's right. Yeah. So, you know, there are anonymous opinions out there that will be vital, that we will want to know. And it's just, but there's no way of getting around the fact that we have to somehow, you know, work with the fact that these things can be tainted. And it's only in these very minute areas of life, you know, like China or, you know, there's not very many areas that I'm going to be worried about looking at the anonymous opinions. It's just going to be very specific areas.
What if instead of saying you can be anonymous, say you can operate through a handle that is your only handle, but is not identifiable to you, and then in the conversations will make more sense because you know when a certain character is there more than once. You understand?
Well, that sounds like the second level of user, the one that's registered with us, but is anonymous to the rest of the world.
But we need to have a way. We need to have a way that we can do that where it's anonymous to even us, but they can still play on the system, and they know who they are, and people know their handle.
But that means somebody else can use the same handle, right?
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't allow that because the handle is the handle is used, right? You've seen that before. The handle is already taken.
I'm confused. How would our system know that it's that it's two different people versus one person?
Yeah, I
because you can only get on the system. First of all, you get on the system and you register, and then you have to log in, and then when you interact with the information on the system, then there's a firewall there that either your name goes out or your handle goes out, and your handle is like unique to you and no one else can have the same one.
Yeah, well,
that's like, just a way for people to be anonymous. Pardon me?
You're describing our second level of anonymous. So they're what we call double anonymous, and that's where there's no registration. They have not told us who they are. But then there's anonymous where they do register with us. We know who they are, but we and here they don't have to use their name when they post an opinion. They could use a handle there. And
I would disagree with allowing anybody to participate without registering in some way, because that just opens it up to abuse. People can come in from 7 different machines and stuff like that. And it makes it very wobbly. It's not a solid system, and people need a solid system. If they're going to join, they need to trust it.
But my point is, you know, I'm just going to say this again. You're never going to look at those anonymous opinions, so it's not going to screw up your daily use of our system, because
that's why I said to imagine it as 2 systems.
Yeah. I'm only going to go into that other system with anonymous opinions if I'm dealing with China or something like that.
You also want to.
So in my daily use of the system, getting an Uber, looking for a restaurant, or complaining about the president, I'm
only looking at registered opinions.
I'm only going to look at registered opinions to get rid of that whole fiasco you're talking about that goes on with anonymous opinions. I'm only going to deal with that whole fiasco of anonymous opinions if I think I have to.
Meaning where
the problem with that is that I see is like if you have there's a lot of people in Washington D.C. Like I might argue like the entire people inside the Beltway guard their social media presence with like an iron fist. You know, they're not going to put their name out there for anything because it just could be career ending. Like you just have like one opinion that shows up somewhere and you have to resign. And so, yeah, I've worked in the government in D.C. and my brother has too. And that's been like almost the way they enforce conformity in D.C. It's just like, if you say something wrong, then you're so in that case, they probably would, like the entire Beltway would be anonymous opinions. But at the same time, those are some of the most valuable opinions to understand what's actually going on in our central government.
But those people would probably register with us and still be doing anonymous, so that we know that there's only one person at least giving that anonymous opinion.
Yeah, I understand that, but is that going to be accessible by the bots of the users, or is that information going to be just exclusive to you? Or okay, Mark.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. If I know that all the people in the Beltway are going anonymous, but at least a registered anonymous, right? Then I know that there's only at least one of each of the various opinions, and they're not, spamming us with a ton of them. And if I know that's going on, once again, I will ask my bot to see those first level anonymous opinions, not the double anonymous, just the first level, so that that this is the way we all have to navigate the system, by understanding these concepts that double anonymous is a nightmare of who knows what's going on, but then that the single anonymous, where they're registered, we know there's a certain amount of at least clarity, in the sense that there's only one opinion per person, and then so anyway, to me
that makes sense.
To me that clears it up for the user. It's not going to be this chaotic thing so much, because you're filtering in these various ways, right?
Right.
And that's up to us as a user, so that nobody is doing that for us, because then they're manipulating the data for us. We are the only ones that are going to manipulate the data for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
It makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. Thanks.
Ernest, does that kind of answer your question, Ernest?
I don't know if I had a question. I was just saying how I thought it would work best, and I don't think it quite aligns with what you're thinking, but it's your program. It's not mine.
Yeah. Well, I want you on board as much as I can, and I'm hoping I can at least convince you that we're going in the right direction.
Well, I think you're moving in the right direction. I think anybody who even thinks of doing this is moving in the right direction. Yeah. If you read my book right through, you'll understand I don't see a global direct democracy coming in the next 100 years, maybe 200 or 300 years. But I think you're all moving in the right direction, for sure.
So maybe we're moving.
Let me say a couple of things about all this. So, or actually, and this leads to that second question I'm going to get into. For one thing, we're not saying that everything we're saying here is like solid or perfect, or we don't want to change it. We're ready to learn and change our minds all the time. Okay. Yeah. A second thing to say is, what was it? That's what happens when you get three ideas in your head all at once.
About anonymous opinions?
No, about the, well, there's a disagreement between us and Ernst right now about a particular feature of the system. And I'm not sure. So let me finish. So the point is, these kind of things, there needs to be a process for how they get resolved, rather than and it can't be, well, the finder decided, therefore it's done, and we're trying to avoid that. And this gets into that second question that everyone keeps asking me. How are we going to avoid internal corruption? And it's another way of asking, how do we avoid splintering? So right now, if Ernst thinks it needs to not have this feature, we think it does. And imagine we splinter. Ernst makes a new system, kind of like KAOS, but has that one change feature. You know what I mean? And that's the point.
That ain't going to happen.
We don't want splintering. We want to, and so here's the point. There needs to be a rational process of coming to agreement such that we don't splinter, we stay as one.
Well, we are as one. We're all here talking together as a group. We're listening to each other. We're trying to understand each other. We are as one. We're always going to think different things. That's what makes it rich. And that will be the case with our system as well. I don't think we should be too worried about it at this stage.
One more thought I just remembered now. What if, suppose we do start KAOS with this feature of the double anonymous, and then let's say later we realize, oh shit, that was a bad idea. Ernst was right. Let's take it out. There's no problem with that. That can happen.
No.
Yeah.
And if we come to that conclusion, there's no problem with changing.
Yeah. And then how do we come to that conclusion? That's the basic stuff of, this is stuff we've been talking about already. Like even this idea of having the four of us here right now, and and we're selecting features for this system. Whatever we do, I think it needs to be, at least for most decisions, it needs to be unanimous decision making. Everyone needs to be on board. Now, if it's a decision that's 1 million people involved, and depending on what the topic is, then maybe 80-20 is fine. 80% agreement is good enough. But the point is, some decisions need to be unanimous.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well,
for example, kicking Brian C out of this needs the unanimous decision of the rest of the group. We've talked about this. I'm kind of making a joke, but it's serious. Any one of us could be kicked out, including the founder. Yeah. If the rest of them agree, and it's not just a vote. We don't see it as just voting. We see it as discussion, deliberation, then vote, then more discussion, then vote. Yeah. The way a jury works.
And if
jury
it's close,
in a murder case, they deliberate, vote a little bit. If they don't have a unanimous decision, they deliberate some more until they finally have a unanimous decision. I think that's how it works, right? Yeah. That's what we should be doing for most of these main issues regarding KAOS.
Yeah, if we can, we may never be able to always maintain that kind of level of everybody agreeing, but that should be the goal. That should be what we're trying to do.
Well, we always can, according to the concept of non-zero sum.
As far as I can tell, democracy amongst any group of individuals does not require everybody agree or anything like that. It requires that everybody hears everybody and everybody feels heard. That's what it needs.
Yeah,
and that's why on a larger scale it breaks down.
Yeah, as a general statement, but we can also try to achieve higher levels of, not just settling for 51%. We can.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that we're having a conversation, and we need to express what we feel and what we believe is right, and we need to not bury those ideas just because everybody doesn't agree or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, we shouldn't be burying. If we bury things, that's how we don't come up with the best idea.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it took me like 3 or 4 days at least of thinking and sleeping to fully grasp the KAOS concept. So that we're not trying to make another Twitter or something. It's completely different idea than that. So if anyone makes a decision on part of the organization, I don't know if they have a license or certification or whatever, KAOS license, but you make sure you understand exactly what it means before you jump to any conclusions. But yeah.
Okay. So Rami, does that answer your question well enough for you? Or?
I didn't have a question. It was other people's question.
No, this started with your question, Rami, about security and doxing.
Yeah, the other people's questions that they're asking me. Yeah. That one's done, and the second one's done. If we have no more questions, we can get to the agenda we had for this meeting.
I'm ready.
Okay. The first item I have here is Brian C. made a post on, this is very recent, 4 days ago, on the Dan Carlin sub. And then there was lots of comments from people, and me and Brian C. were replying to people. Some of it, I guess, went okay. Some of it went bad. And the point is, Brian C. wants to try to improve his and our methods of dealing with this, the outside world like this. But one problem is they deleted the post, so now I can't read it.
Why'd they delete it? Because it was censorship or something?
It says taken down by the mods.
Why? I wonder.
Well, they might have sent you a message.
I never got a message. No.
Sometimes they take it down and don't send messages.
Yeah, I never got a message. I didn't know it was taken down. It must
Sometimes
have been.
sometimes subs will take down something only because it got downvoted a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
With
Maybe
regardless of what the content is, they're
so
like,
a lot of
our
the mobs
users don't like this, therefore it's gone. That's it.
Yeah, well, I definitely got a lot of downvotes there. It just doesn't go past 0 on my counter.
Okay, so let's try to take their criticisms.
Wait, just a second. Can we hear the backstory on this whole thing? Because I saw your email that went out, but I didn't really get all the context of it. So you kind of had like a back and forth skirmish with this gentleman. What's his name? Daniel.
Do you want me to put it on the screen?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
But again, most of it is deleted, so we can at least see the comments. We can at least see the comments.
I assume you guys aren't familiar with Dan Carlin, Hardcore History.
I can't say I am.
No. Okay, Hardcore. I highly recommend Hardcore History. It's a really fascinating look at history, mostly the conflicts in history. He talks about the First World War, Second World War, various wars in the past, the punitive wars in Greece. Anyway, he goes through most of history and the big conflicts, and he gets into big detail, a lot of detail about the politics and stuff that were going on at the time, and just the horrificness of it. Dan's a fantastic storyteller, and he comes from it from a point of view of he likes to think of it as if he's talking to other historians. If you go back to his old stuff, he doesn't explain who the characters are. He expects you to know who they are. So, but in his later stuff, he does explain more about who the characters are, because he realizes his audience is so wide now. But he had started out; it was meant to be a podcast for people that are into history already. So anyway, absolutely, really in depth. Like he does a series on the Japanese conflict alone, and that one I think is like, I don't know, it's hundreds and hundreds of hours. They're extremely long podcasts, and maybe not hundreds of hours, but they're like 30, 40 hours or something for one subject matter. And anyway, so he has a really wide audience. He's really well known, and but the people that listen, he used to have his own chat room on his website, and he actually had to shut it down because there were so many hard right-wingers in there, and it got to be so toxic that he actually had to shut down his chat room on his website.
Because they would post because he tends to veer more toward like a liberal interpretation of history, and then they're right wingers, so they just hated it and they attacked it, or is that what happened?
No. He's pretty unbiased in his reporting of history. He does lean left. He admits that. He has a lot of right wingers though that listen to his stuff, and they love him. They don't criticize him, but they do criticize others that are left leaning in the subs or in the.
So they're fighting each other in the chat.
Yes, they all love Dan. Everybody is united in loving Dan. There's no doubt about that. Unlike a lot of other subs, if you go on, Lex Friedman's sub, no, not Lex, because that was definitely monitored, but Bill Maher's sub, half the people hate him and half the people like him. But anyway, with Dan, everybody loves Dan. There's no doubt about that. But they fight amongst one another. And there's a lot of so even on the subreddit, there's quite a few right wingers, even though the sub is far lefter than any of his other platforms. And these people are very, his podcasts are always mostly about conflict and war and stuff like this. So it's not the most uplifting material. And so these people tend to be very pessimistic, tend to be very right wing. And so I really should have, I knew that would be an issue when I posted there. So anyway, I'd like to also mention, this is just a kind of a wake-up call to what you can expect on most subs. This is not a popular idea. We're going to get downvoted a lot on various subs. I think when we go to more optimistic subs, we're going to have better results. But people are very pessimistic these days. And it's really reflected in a lot of the subs. And this is not a popular idea. If you on a random sub or just out in one of the most popular subs, like I don't know, our picks or something like that, if you were to post something about this there, 90% of the people are against giving the populace power. They think that's chaotic. They think that's insane. They say things like, it's the people that elected Trump. It's the people that brought in Brexit. It's the people, but I think that's a measurement problem. They're not measuring the public opinion well enough, and that's why these things happen. No.
Can I, because I didn't get a chance to, can I interrupt real quick? I didn't get a chance to review the entire post before it was deleted. I saw it come up on my feed, but I had not seen it. Is there a way that we
have
can
the
get
original, Brian C?
What I posted?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay. It'd be nice to see that.
Can you send that to me
or describe
over
it.
email if you can, or is that trouble?
I'm afraid I might lose you guys if I.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah, forget it. You go on with your story.
Let's at least do this then.
Yeah.
Let's at least discuss the title and then the comments, and let's try to take seriously what they say. Maybe we can learn something.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say the post in general, it was saying that Dan Carlin. So the reason why I made the post now is because he just came out with a common sense episode. There's two things that he does. There's one about history and the other one's about politics. And that's his common sense show. And on his common sense show, he went on a long rant about how the president has far too much power. He has the power to declare war. He's got the power to declare an emergency that then can lead to a war. He has powers that he never used to have. And slowly, every presidency, the president has gained more and more power. And at this point, now Trump's got that power, and we're all kicking ourselves going, why do we give the president so much damn power? And so anyway, that's he's talked about this lots in the past, that presidents never used to have the kind of power they have now, and they should not have it. So anyway, he went on this big rant about that, and how and he sounded so dire in the sense that, I mean, there's just no fixing this now. We've really fucked up. Now Trump's in power. Now what do you do? So anyway, it was.
How is he wasting his energy?
Well, so then I said, I think because he's trying to get conservatives right now to go against Trump and take away some of this power. He's the way the conservatives in the House or in the Senate are all doing whatever Trump wants, and he's trying to get them to wake up and go, don't you guys see this problem? Okay, how can you let this continue? Anyway, so he's hoping that conservatives will wake up, or at the very least, if liberals ever win the next election, that they will fix these problems. But at the same time, he totally recognized the fact he's been bitching out about this for over a decade, and there's been no president that's even looked at it. And if anything, they give themselves more power every time. So he's talking about how it's like a losing fucking battle, right? Anyway, so very, very depressive, very not very, inspiring to people, this podcast. And so while people were my point was, he's wasting his energy, because if he were to, apply it to helping us promote this system or something like that, we would get much further as far as taking power away from presidents or oligarchs or any of these, people that are taking all the power away from us right now.
All right. So let's go through the comments and start trying to. Here's the first one. Woo woo.
Yeah, woo woo. I got a lot of that one.
I don't even know what that means, but somebody replies like this, they're a fucking troll. But I do try to get them to say some real shit. Brian replied first, but I replied with this. Just a little bit snippet of what we're doing. And then I gave a link. And did he reply to this? He didn't reply to this. Let me check a link. I hate how Reddit works. It's hard to tell if. Yeah, he didn't reply to that.
Yeah, so I don't know what he meant at all. Do you have any sense of what he meant by woo?
Yeah,
woo?
I do.
Okay, all right.
Here, he said it right here.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
does.
woo woo sums up my thoughts.
Yeah.
Bunch of high-minded ideal with scarce details. I like practical ideas. Beyond that, I am not sifting through all the cult workshops.
So he basically says he doesn't want to read. I mean, I see these kinds of commenters all the time.
But maybe there's something about the thing Brian C. wrote that is too high level and not enough talking about details. Maybe that's a real criticism that we should account for.
I don't think I would have ever been able to do anything to please that guy. And,
Okay.
And it's because the idea is far-fetched. There's no doubt about it that this plan that we are doing is a very far-fetched idea. And for some people, it's just too far-fetched. It's just too dreamy. It's just too, woo-hoo.
The next guy says, it is always easier to tear down instead of build up. So he's saying you were tearing down Dan Carlin?
Maybe. I mean, I am making a criticism. That may be what he's coming at. Yeah.
And then he says, I'm good on the woo-woo sphere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what did you say? Do you have any faith that our existing method of government can fix the problems we have today? Did you look at what we are proposing? At the end of the post was a link. And what did you link to, Brian?
Well, I linked to our subreddit to the explanation of how it's built. How it works.
Like the first essay we're designing?
Yeah, the rough draft.
Okay.
Not the first essay, the second one where it explains
the second one that says details of how it works. And then he says, and this doesn't make it clear whether he read it or not.
I doubt it.
Okay, and the next person, they didn't even reply, so I don't even know it's worth talking about them. I don't know what the fuck that is. That looks like trolling. This guy took it seriously.
Finally.
Yeah.
Someone.
He said some serious stuff.
Can you scroll back to that? That looked interesting.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to see what we were saying. You want me to read that out loud?
No, I just wanted to scan it. That's fine. Go ahead.
Tell me when you're done.
Tell me how it ends.
You mean this little
paragraph? Okay, hang on.
Sorry.
Oh yeah,
well, he doesn't have a lot of hope, that guy.
No.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between the omega point that he's talking about and the singularity? I thought it sounded like they were synonymous.
Well, let's just look at our replies. So here's what Brian C. said.
Okay. All right.
Can we talk about this belief you have that the way humanity thinks has not improved in the last 300 years? I would argue the introduction of the concept that we are all created equal has changed humanity's way of thinking to the better. It's not a true statement, but if enough people take it to heart, humanity can move forward. I don't agree with that, by the way, but let's keep moving. I think it's only obvious since the invention of social networks that it appears that people are less tolerant. I don't think it's as bad as it appears, but it is true that the algorithms are making it much worse. We're creating the public square with no boundaries or silos. I don't think he replied.
No.
I think I would see it right here.
Yeah.
I replied to him and I said, we're not making an assumption here. There are people improving the situation and people making it worse. We're not assuming the noosphere is going to evolve. We could kill ourselves with World War III.
Yep.
We're not saying that won't happen, but we're saying we have to do work to make it not happen. He talked about the subgrouping. I said much of the subgrouping is caused by propaganda and censoring of criticism of that propaganda. That's why we need something like KAOS.
Yeah. I have to say that I don't think working out, trying to figure out how to convince all these people, especially on this subreddit, trying to figure out how to argue with them is not going to be fruitful.
Well, this is how you've developed your ideas, is by arguing with people for 40 years.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure.
this is just more of it, is all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, it is. It is just more of it, and I have good replies. I think I have pretty good replies for most of these arguments. But
Well,
with a lot of these people are not going to get convinced, no matter how we approach it. Like I said, we're going to have better results. I mean, that's why I kind of gave up on posting for years. I didn't post anything for years. I was concentrating on finding individuals that I thought were more open-minded, just in comments of other people's posts, and finding people that were like-minded, and then trying to hit them up individually on a very personal level. And that's how I found all of you guys, right? This is, I'm not finding this by just a post and everybody joining in. Now, I got really lucky there a while ago when I made that post on deep thoughts. And I posted my brother's thoughts about Trump.
yeah, it brought like 100 people, it brought like 65 people to the subreddit.
Yeah, but something to remember here. First of all, I had to very personally get a hold of each one of those people and bring them in a very personal way. And that was a very...
you mean you talked to 65 people?
Yeah, at least more than that. And
how many were phone calls?
None. I never talked to anybody in a phone call.
Oh, it was all DMs.
Just my interaction on the
post.
On the post. And so anyway, I managed to get them to come and look at our stuff, and they joined our sub, but not a single one of them is part of our group now. You know, none of them have dedicated any time to this at all. So in other words, that it's not successful on the same level, and that has happened before. I can, with certain ways that we approach this, we can get a lot of people to be interested enough to join the sub, but not interested enough to actually participate. So it's
well, it's not just interest. There's people got chaos in their lives, and they can't do what we're doing here. Most people cannot do what we're doing, but they can at least follow, and eventually some of those followers or lurkers can turn into an active participant.
Yeah, yes, they may very well, but getting people that want to actually participate is a whole nother level. And like I said, I've only been successful doing it on a very personal level, and not by posting. And so anyway, I just wanted everybody to understand this, that in the future, we're going to get a lot of this type of thing where it's all negative, right? So be ready for that. I've been doing this for a long time now, and this is all I deal with all the time. Yeah. So it's a part of the process. It's a part of this project is, like I said, I consider this to be the least popular idea ever conceived.
Yeah, well, also Reddit is a little bit of a kind of a rough platform for people that are introducing new ideas. Like I tried to start there was no theoretical chemistry subreddit for some reason, so I just started it and tried to post a few things, and I thought it would get traction, and like zero traction for like 6 months, which is kind of weird when you think about it. So I don't know. I just think there's like an inherent hostility to new ideas on Reddit for whatever reason. I don't know what other platform would be better, but it just
some of the
I think Reddit
words themselves.
Reddit.
What's that?
Reddit has more thinkers that are interested in this topic than any other platform, and that's a shame because there's not that much discussion about this. I think that what really needs to be done is just like promoting the idea, because people 40 years after it's been possible, most people have no conception of direct democracy, and that's because it scares the powers that be, and they control most of the media, and they make sure it doesn't get in there too much. And they are probably all over places like Reddit. Maybe half the people crapping on this idea are being rewarded for doing so from somewhere, because it is not a small thing that you guys are trying to do. You're about changing the world, and that's not going to be easy, and there's going to be resistance. But Reddit, there's no really other place where people actually will discuss direct democracy like Reddit. You know, you think Reddit is empty. Go to Twitter or go to Facebook. It's way emptier.
I think you're right about that. I think Reddit probably is a better site for this. One thing I'd like to emphasize, though, Ernst, is I know that the people in power like the fact that they're in power and they're doing whatever they can to keep that. But at the same time, I also like to point out that we give them that power, and the people, and the people are also the ones holding back this whole thing. They also do not want to give the people power.
I agree.
The people in general are scared of the people having power.
I agree. We've come from what? Thousands and thousands of years of hierarchy where kissing ass is the way forward. And that's the opposite of what we're doing. And people are just literally genetically resistant. Yeah.
And the fact is, we don't have any good examples of anything bigger than the town hall. Like as different organized, different democracies or whatever have organized in various ways. They've never, the ultimate, if you talk to any expert on the best way to govern, the ultimate is the town hall. But they all say as soon as you get over a couple hundred people, that all falls apart. And
I say the same thing too. If you're going to have a town hall where everybody is physically present and computers are not involved.
Yeah. So anyway, what I think is, the problem to me though is a measurement problem, and like people don't, just because you have over 200 people, they didn't become stupider. They're not dumber people. So why does it all work perfectly until you get to a couple hundred people and it all starts to get worse, and then you get more people, get worse and worse?
Because at a certain level, people are not being heard and they're not hearing each other. Like this group of 4 people, we got that. But if we were 400 people, we would have lost it somewhere along the way. That is what ruins it right there. There's no other reason.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that reason is the only method of communication is voting. We only get to say yes or no to different things.
Now, in partisanship, yeah.
So this is where we need more nuance in our ability to get our opinions out there. So, I think we're creating more of a town hall kind of a situation because we can have a better understanding of everybody else out there. And we can communicate on a higher level of nuance. It's all in the details. Everything's in the details, right? So our ability to get more detail out there about our opinions, and then getting feedback from other people, and like Rami was saying earlier about how we should do things. We'll vote, and then we'll discuss, and then we vote again, and then we discuss again. However many times it needs to take place until everybody's feeling like they're confident that everybody's, thinking the same way. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out, that it's the people that are holding back everything. The people in charge, sure, they like being in charge, but we give them that power, and we're doing it willingly so far.
I don't mind saying, from a philosophical standpoint, I am very unsure about the point of we give them that power when they have guns and when they can jail us and when they can do all these things to us that we cannot do back except under pain of more of what they can do to us. So I don't fully buy this. And besides that, people are from a very early age indoctrinated into the present system. They do not give the rights for their indoctrination to somebody they chose. They did not choose that. So I honestly, yes, we do have some agency. But to say it's the people's fault that we're all oppressed, that's ridiculous. I don't buy that, not even for a second, because it isn't. It's the guns and the violence and the manipulation and the lies.
In our schools.
And people who tell us to be honest and to tell the truth and never do themselves, that is what is going on more so than the people are giving their power to these tyrants.
Ernst, we could go on a long time on this one. I'd love to have a side discussion with you sometime. Are you up to a side phone call or something?
No, I don't mind.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd like to go deeper on this with you.
Well, we
you
can
guys
go.
record it and make it a podcast.
We can go. We can. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
We can
Maybe
do
could
whatever
make
you
it a
want.
Podcast.
Yeah. So we should probably.
I have the system. I could like start the podcast for you guys, and I don't have to be on there.
Yeah.
You know, it would be a StreamYard thing too. We would be recording without the live part of it, and then
I would be
I'll
open.
edit it and publish.
Oh
it.
yeah, we have to. I was supposed to do that. Sorry. Someone has to set up another StreamYard, so you keep getting
Yeah, that would be helpful.
the free. Okay, I'll definitely do that. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll let me leave a note for myself to schedule podcast with Brian C. and Ernst. Can you say your last name again?
Ritzman.
Ritzman. Okay, so do you guys want to move on to the next next thing?
So.
All right, so here's the next post in the KAOS Now subreddit. This was a month ago. What it's saying here is Brian C. emailed Ezra Klein. Why don't you say who Ezra Klein is real quick?
So Ezra Klein is starting to be one of the best known liberal thinkers. He writes for the New York Times, and he was very instrumental in getting Biden to step down. There was 3 or 4 people: Jon Stewart, Ezra Klein, and a few others. I can't remember who at the moment. That really pushed Biden to step down. But that's just an indication of kind of power that Ezra Klein has. He's a very big voice on the liberal side.
Is that was that just? Can I briefly interject? In your opinion, was that a mistake, political mistake, for them to do that, including Ezra Klein, or was that the best they could do given the circumstances?
I wish they would have done it much earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my opinion. I think Biden should have been. He should have never been running for the next second term. But anyway, yeah, I do respect a lot of what Ezra Klein does and says. And right now, he just wrote a book called The Abundance Agenda, him and another guy. And so they're pushing this big abundance agenda for the Democratic Party in the next round. And anyway, I do agree with everything he's saying there. But he's also advocating for less democracy. He will never say that out in the open. But if you read between the lines of what he's saying that the people have to have less power in our democracy. So I disagree with him. So
okay, so here's the point. You sent him an email that starts here, Mr. Klein, and then you said send my Substack, and then you put an essay here, and then is this still part of the email? Yeah, it is. And then you put another line, and you talk to him a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you put another line, and you talk to him some more.
Yeah. So the guy he had on the podcast, he voted for Trump. He's generally a liberal, but he voted for Trump, and he's very much about an abundance agenda as well. But his big thing was freedom of speech, and he knows that Trump may not be for freedom of speech, but at least he's talking that way. Whereas the liberals don't even talk about freedom of speech anymore. And I was quite impressed that Ezra Klein had him on his podcast, because he's so opposite of Ezra Klein's thought process on this. So that's kind of why I was.
Looking the way you wrote this email, you just said hello and then read my essay.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone would read that.
Yep, maybe.
I don't think anyone would read that. I wouldn't read somebody's long ass email that I never heard that person from Adam. I think your email should have been done in a way where, you write custom explanation for him, which you do have at the bottom.
Yeah.
but you have it after your essay. He doesn't. So as he's reading your essay, he doesn't know that you wrote stuff for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think the stuff that's written for him should be at the top, and then maybe you link to your essay.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a reason I wanted to read the essay, though, because I'm mirroring a lot of what that other guy was saying in the podcast.
But then you could have said that right at the front of why you want him to read the essay. A tiny little paragraph right here.
Yeah.
I think you should read this, and here's why. It needs more framing.
Yeah. I kind of got that impression after later,
Yeah.
re-looking at it. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So he responded eventually, though, even though he didn't have
never.
that. Oh, okay. I thought it said like Brian, I'll see you in the future or something at the bottom.
Yeah. He's saying I'm going to email you again.
Oh yeah. Well, no. What I'm saying is, eventually this thing's going to take off, and you're going to hear about it more and more.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. I thought I misread the comma. I thought it meant like I will see you in the future, Brian, not like I'll see you in the future.
Yeah. So, you know what? This might be what people see as woo woo.
yeah, that's true. So but the main reason like his guest was what really inspired me to write to him. Again, I've actually written to Ezra Klein a few times, and I think he knows who I am at this point. I'm that regular kook that keeps sending him emails. So anyway, the guest
so there were previous emails. All right, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, there have been previous emails, and the guest that he had on at the very end of the podcast, Ezra Klein asked him. He says, "Aren't you?" Because they were talking about new technology and of communication and all of this, and Ezra Klein was indicating, "Aren't you worried about the future? What's going to happen with all this, free flow of information and all the rest of this?" And he said, Europe had a 30-year war over a few words coming off the printing presses, just a slight changes off a printing press, and that caused a 30-year war in Europe. He said, we're going through that transition again now, and it could be another bad situation like that unless we handle it correctly. But holding it back is not helping. And he's saying you're like the person that was trying to hold back the printing press back in a couple of hundred years ago. You really think that's the right position to be in? He said, yes, things are going to get rough, but we have to get through this transition in how we're communicating and with all this new technology. And on the other side of that, it's going to be a whole new world. And resisting that is not getting us anywhere. It's actually making the situation worse.
But it's normal. It's normal.
Yeah.
The printing press was held back for hundreds of years before we even had daily papers and stuff. So.
Yes, and that's kind of my point, though.
Ernst,
yes, that's kind of my point. It's held back, but it's not held back by everybody. I mean, it's not held back just by the people in control. Everyday people were worried about the other people printing, a different version of the Bible. It wasn't just the people in charge; it was all the people that were upset, and that's how come they're out there fighting for 30 years. They're individuals fighting. It wasn't their superiors telling them to go and fight. They weren't organizing them and saying, "Okay, you guys go and fight for this." They didn't have to do that. The people were upset themselves about this spreading of information.
But somebody had to be leading them intellectually or emotionally. The churches, stuff like that. They had to have somebody, or they would not have all been on the same page.
Well,
so to say that it was the people, that it was a grassroots thing, I don't buy it. The people are always led by their culture, and the culture is always controlled by the government and religion.
Okay, so they're led by their culture, but they do have some play in that culture. Yes, they're
sure they do.
Yes, they and I understand, like they are all coerced to some degree. But it is them and those individuals that are holding it back and giving those the higher ups the power that they have. So wow. I think
being manipulated. They're being manipulated is what I think.
Yeah. Well, I think you can look at the history of the early United States, like the 13 colonies. and they were very, very. The reason why they were 13 distinct colonies in the first place is they had very, very different ideas about stuff. Like you go down to South Carolina, North Carolina, there were a lot of Protestants, and you go up to Maryland, there were a lot of Catholics, and there was no government at that time. They were all like controlled by Britain, until they started, exercising their sovereignty. So that's an example. That's one example of where they had.
What do you mean by there was no government? They were governing themselves mostly, weren't they?
Yeah, but they somehow united to create the American Revolution, even though they have all these disparate ideas and different religions, and they're all controlled by a foreign power, and they have no centralized government at that point. And so that's my point. It's like just as a counter example, but
that example, I mean, it's a prime example of the common enemy. They all had this. They all had a common enemy, and that unites people despite whether or not they have varying religions. Right now, us, Canada and Greenland, we're getting real cozy these days because we have a common enemy.
Oh, the U.S.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about Greenland. They seem like they're like Canada is definitely not going to be part of the U.S., but Greenland's almost seems like they want to be, right? Or like Denmark wants to get rid of them. One of those two.
Are you guys ready for the next one?
Let me think here. Do I have anything else to say about that? No. Yeah, go ahead.
Martin Guri, this is also a month ago. A post in the KAOS Now.
And that's the guy that
who he is.
So that was the guy Ezra was interviewing, and I really like the way he was thinking on this part of it, about that there's going to be this transition that's going to take place, and that you should not be holding it back. And so he has lots of, that's the area that I really agree with him on. Now, there's lots of other things he was saying in the podcast that I don't agree with, but this, he was so adamant about this big change that's going to happen, and that he's egging it on. He wants to be a part of it, and that it's going to be a good thing in the long run. And so I thought he'd be able to understand, our point of view about this. So
and you haven't contacted him yet, right?
No, I did send him an email. There's a copy of it there, isn't there?
Oh,
that's it. Isn't there an email on? Yeah.
No? There's no email here. Unless you posted it below. No.
No? Huh. Okay. I thought
maybe you sent them an email. You just didn't post about it.
Look at that. But anyway, I was saying to him that, I really appreciate what he said, and that I wish that he had more impact on Ezra Klein.
And he didn't reply?
I was hoping that he would he'd get a hold of us so we could talk about it more. But anyway.
And he didn't reply? So, Brian, I'm asking, did he reply at all?
So I don't know if there's anything else to say about that, but.
Are you not hearing me? Are people not hearing me?
I can hear you. Yeah,
I can hear you.
He's asking, did this guy
Martin?
Mr.
Did he reply?
Reply to your email?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything back.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
is he is he kind of a famous person?
I seem to be losing you guys here.
Hello?
I'm saying, is he like a famous person?
What?
Yeah, he must not have been hearing us or something.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know.
Technical.
I can hear you fine. Yeah, must be a audio out or something. But what I was going to say is that I do that all the time. I email people that aren't even famous. They just work at like NASA, and they never get back to me. So I think they just you have to go up a level and either call them or send them actual mailing or some other way. I think people just get so many emails that like they probably don't even mean to, but they just ignore them. I do the same thing for some people, so I don't know.
Who knows how overwhelmed they are with emails?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm all overwhelmed that I'm a nobody. So
me too.
Yeah. And I can't imagine it when you'd be overwhelmed if you were actually somebody.
Yeah. I guess.
So we'll just wait a little bit until he gets back
Yeah.
on.
I mean, we could be done today too. I kind of want to end it and get on with the rest of the day.
All right,
Maybe
it's
this is
fine
a good time. We don't really know if he's coming back.
We'll wait maybe 2 or 3 minutes and.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question about the podcast you want to record there.
Yeah.
Will I be able to take a copy of that and put it and distribute it as I want?
Yes, I'll send you a copy after I'm.
All right.
I can send you the raw version, or I can send you the edited version, or I can send you both.
Both, if you want. I
Okay.
can figure out which I like best.
Cool.
You can also access it online, right? You just download it from YouTube too if you want. I think. Or no,
Okay,
I
no.
don't think YouTube.
Sorry,
I can't
Reddit.
download from YouTube anymore. They used to let you, but you got to have a membership. You got to pay like $12 a month to download anymore.
Well, yeah, I think you
you know
also
what? They
publish it
tricked
on
me.
Reddit.
They tricked me like that. They said, "Oh, if you want to download, you have to pay premium." I paid premium and I could not download. What they mean by download is download into your YouTube app. They don't mean download a separate file you can take anywhere.
Well, thanks for the information. That's
Don't fucking buy it.
Yeah.
The only
That's
thing
ridiculous.
YouTube Premium seems to be worth it for is to not see ads. I see so many damn ads.
Yeah. Get an ad blocker.
Well, yeah. And my ad blocker stopped working. I got to get another one. Yes. And somebody
I
just
usually
told
have
me
a
they better
couple.
one. Huh?
I usually have a couple running because one won't catch it, the other will.
There we
Oh,
go.
you can have two
Oh, I
running.
like
That
it.
doesn't cause a conflict.
Wow.
Why not? Just install
Sorry,
it.
Ella.
Make maybe
Lost again.
system down if it's not too quick. But okay, hi Brian.
Looks cold
Hi,
there.
guys. Sorry about
It looks like really cold.
We had a
Oh,
good snow out here, and I think that's screwing up my internet or something. It's pretty. It's winter here.
It's the winter.
It looks
guys,
winter.
what did I miss?
Oh, we were just
Technical stuff.
bullshitting.
Yeah.
Nothing much.
Yeah. We could do one more thing if you guys wanted, or we could end it here. But
Well,
I wrote some notes down about the essay that we talked about last time.
What essay?
It's coming up right here.
Oh,
This is an
okay.
essay Brian C is working on. He's been getting our help. I have some.
Ernst, you've read the first version of this, and I'm rewriting it right now. So
Oh,
that we
okay.
can,
Yeah, I recognize.
I'm rewriting it
So-
right now, so it's a little smoother.
Yeah, I didn't have much input. I put my writing. Oh, I have a little bit. Okay, so this sentence here should either be one of these two, and that's more grammar. I don't know which one you think looks better, sounds better. What you wrote was, "We live in a world that is still in the warning stage, comma, this is why we focus on deadly technology." It needs to either be with a comma and then the word which, or semicolon, and then so maybe this
Or
is
a
the better
period.
one.
Or you can just do 2 sentences too. Again.
So you're just talking about the punctuation needs to be changed.
Yeah, and that's not very big. The bigger thing is this section right here doesn't seem to flow from this part. I don't know how to make this flow better. Does it flow fine for you guys as you read it?
All right, maybe I got to step closer to the house.
To conference, they reveal they must.
No, it seems fine to me.
Talk about how they need
Okay.
to either control it or really slow it down. Okay. Yeah, I mean it makes sense, but
I mean, shouldn't this be like one
Yeah.
paragraph or what? You guys think?
Maybe. Either way, I don't think it's not understandable.
Okay. And the only other thing is we need to put a link here at the end.
Okay.
And that's
all right.
it. I mean, it's fine. I really didn't have anything. So that's
All
it.
Canadian geese in the background.
Geez, I was going to check out my window for a minute. Don't let them get near you.
Ernst,
Yeah.
I did make a small change. I did make a small change at the end of that essay. I can't remember
Okay.
exactly what it was at the end,
You
but
want me to put it back on the screen?
it just didn't quite sound right. Yeah, the last paragraph. Actually, maybe we don't worry about it right now. Yeah. Just, actually, the longer paragraph, the one just above that.
In the original concept of the noosphere, it was hypothesized that eventually we, along with the technology, will develop into something resembling a worldwide brain. If we could consider this to be a long-term goal, then obviously eventually we will all need to know what everybody else is thinking accurately, or should it say more accurately?
Just accurately.
Along with this will come a higher understanding of one another, which will then lead to more cognitive empathy from everyone.
Yeah, I can't remember the change I made. I'm going to resend that to you, and then I'm going to read the latest version, just slight change I made in there. And I'll send that to Ernst as well.
All right.
So I'll send it out in a group email just so everybody's got the freshest copy.
All right.
On how over that one,
Yeah.
and I'm about 3/4 of the way through. So
Brian,
I've made a lot of changes on that essay.
You cut out. Can you say that again?
Okay, I was saying that I've started working on the second essay, the one about how it works, the rough draft that I'd made, and I've gone a long ways through that. So I'm going to try. I don't know if I'll get it finished this week, but I'll try to get it to you guys early in the week, by Wednesday or something, so that you guys can go over it and we can go over that one at the next meeting. Are you still there?
Okay. Yeah. We heard you. Yep.
Okay, you heard me?
All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good, guys. I got to take off, but you have a good one. Thanks a lot. See
All
ya.
right.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Glad you're here.
Yep.
All
Thanks.
So you guys want to just end it here then?
I think so. What do you think, Ernest? Is there anything else you want to
Yeah,
talk about?
that's fine with me. No, I'm good.
Ernst, right?
Ernst.
Not Ernest.
Not
I know.
Ernest. Ernst. Yeah.
Ernst, yeah.
All right. So I'll email you guys to schedule a podcast.
All right. And
All right.
contact us.
Sure.
then. Okay.
Yep. All right, everyone.
Okay.
All right.
Take it
Take
easy.
care.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks, you guys. Been great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.